This episode is brought to you by Muntins Malts, a company that is passionate about providing premium malts to brewers worldwide. For over a century, Muntins has been a leading supplier of brewing and distilling malts, offering the finest British malted barley on the market. You can experience the difference Muntins offers by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club, because every kit that ships out now includes premium Muntins malt. You know, we've known the Muntins crew for a long time, and I can tell you, friend, you're going to love brewing with their grains. Ask your local supply shop to carry Muntins malts, or homebrewers can join our Trub Club at homebrewhappyhour.com/club. Be a part of the community and come brew with us. Thank you, Muntins, for supporting our efforts and homebrewers worldwide. Today's show is brought to you by Hopsdirect.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Peterball family farm, Hopsdirect.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is Hopsdirect.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to Hopsdirect.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's Hopsdirect.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
How to do a closed transfer, buying a grain mill for home, and Spunding valve maintenance. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 366. Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. And if you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com, click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or even better, hear me out, you're going to get your phone. You're going to dial 325-305-6107. Leave your question or feedback as a voicemail. I will take that, probably play it on a future episode, and you get yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. I'm one of your hosts, Joshua Stubing, joined as always by the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com over there, Mr. James Carlson, as well as the President and Chief Keg Washer of kegconnection.com right there beneath me, Mr. Todd Burns. Gentlemen, hello.
Hello. Hey, how are you?
Oh, so good. So good. You're beneath me again, and
that's weird because on my screen you're below me.
No. Well, listen, don't do that because I'm trying to be nice. I didn't say that. I didn't say blow me.
No, you are. I could see.
It was my dad or someone recently. We were talking about it where they're like, you keep trying to sneak that in, or you're not. I'm not so sneaky. I just say it. So I'm using better words now. You are beneath me. No, wait, because that sounds rude now. If Todd, you're beneath me.
I'm offended by that.
Yeah. Below me is fine. Beneath me, that's a line. Y'all, it has been a wild week. Last week's episode, which was actually recorded like 10 days from now, or from today, was with Hubertus Beer. Cody and Brian joined us. That episode, specifically the audio version, one of our most downloaded episodes of the last several wheats in regards to how fast people were listening to it, and a lot of feedback. I've gotten a ton. It was when he was talking about Houdini's principle or Bartholomew's principle or whatever it's called, the Bernoulli's principle. I think people actually really enjoyed it. We're going to have to find a way to get Hubertus and them back on, Cody and Brian, on the show and expand rather.
So what did they enjoyed the whole explanation?
Yeah, people really enjoyed hearing not the math. Oh, I guess it was the math, even though he wasn't really doing math. Just trying to lay it out there about restriction and whatnot. And we might need to go. You remember way back in the day for Trub Club when I was able to regularly source Q&As like almost monthly. Maybe we need to just do a patreon.com/homebrew happy hour member Q&A with Cody. Like, either, and I'm bringing that up to y'all because I don't want to exclude you anymore. Todd gets his feelings hurt when I have people on the show and I don't, and it's not even the show. It would be a Q&A at a different time. But I think that's something we should do. And I'm also thinking, I don't know if you have a firm date for Lorena coming to Texas now, because their December trip got canceled because Todd had gotten sick, but we probably could do a Q&A with her too, as well as a podcast episode. Are you even listening to me? Your head's in your phone. I don't even know what.
Yeah, it's so she's coming on the 10th,
of February.
We are going to brew. I confirmed with her.
You did. Hey, do you want me to spill the beans, or is that not is that top secret? Or?
I don't know what you mean.
Are you developing a future recipe for Chub Club with her?
Yeah, that's what we're going to work on.
Okay, yeah.
Brown ale.
Oh, you really spilled the beans. I was just going to do a surface level. Yes, Todd, we plan out as much as we can the future for recipes, mostly because we have to get the grains from our sponsors, and we have to get the hops. We have to get the malt from Muntins, and we have to get the hops from Hops Direct, and we like to at least give a heads up to Imperial to see if the pouches of yeast will be available when we want the kits. So we are trying to do it quarterly every year, but the recipe Todd's talking about developing, I believe, would be for April, and talking about doing some sort of a brown ale. You had kind of waffled between red ale and a brown ale, and I think brown won, obviously.
No, I never waffled.
Oh, the text message. I mean, you had initially said we haven't done a red in a while.
Yeah. No, I've been on the brown thing for a while. I reached out to a local brewery that we really like their brown ale, and I'm trying to find out. I can't tell for sure. James, I may get your opinion on it. I think Lorena could tell us, but I can't tell for sure if they're using an American yeast or a British yeast in that beer. So.
It's real ale, and it's their oh goodness, not brew room brown. What do they call it? Oh no,
it's the Brew House Brown.
Brew House, thank you, Brew House Brown, which I believe they had discontinued for a while and then brought it back. It was one of their.
That's a shame. It's one of my favorite beers.
What were they brew? I love this story. We haven't told it in a while. You visited them when they were on the square in Blanco in what, 2000, 19?
I don't remember the year, but yeah, it was very. I mean, they were. No, it was. I mean, we started. Let's see, 1990. Yeah, so maybe around that time, but yeah, and it was very, very basic equipment, shall we say. They had I think I've even talked about it on the podcast years ago, but they had a fermenter that they were using. I'm sorry, not a fermenter, a boil kettle is what they were using. And I go, that looks like something off the Willy Wonka chocolate factory. And they're like, funny you say that. It came from Hershey's. So it was this enormous kettle but it kind of had a weird shape to it so you could dump it.
Yeah.
It was bizarre.
And they were in a tiny little brew space, right? Because I remember
they were below ground. Yeah. They were, and the square, one of the buildings in the square had a completely, basement, below ground basement, and they were brewing it below ground. So,
and that's, I think the Brew House Brown is one of their original recipe, one of their original, like their lineup, like Fireman's 4, and the brew house brown. I don't think they brewed an IPA for a long time. Those were the good days, James. Those were the good days. But real ale, I say this, not sucking up to them because I'd love for someone there to come back on the show. We had their former brewmaster on the show a long, long time ago, Eric Odershock. He's not with them anymore. Don't know where he went. Hope you're doing well. But I'd love to have someone back there. But I will say this, their Hans Pils, the German lager, James, for my money, good. It's one of the best commercial lagers.
It's great. It's a great beer.
It's an incredible beer. I know Fireman's 4, especially for people in Texas, it is like the gateway beer into craft, and I respect it. I love blonde. I love that style. Obviously, Kolsch. I love blondes. But if I could give someone a beer from Real Ale to judge them as a brewery, it's Hans Pils every time. Like, here, drink this. It is such a flawless representation of the style. Like, it's such a good beer. But anyway, so yeah, Todd reached out to them. He's trying to get it'd be awesome if they tell us, oh, this is the yeast we use. It's obviously probably proprietary. They do it in-house and propagate it. But I mean, more than likely, I'd be willing to bet money.
Well, maybe. I might be willing to bet money.
You want to bet $5 that they don't propagate?
How are we going to find out? I mean,
I think
a lot of people say it's proprietary, and
they lie.
I mean, but it's a lot of them are like just standard strains like Chico and stuff like that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do some semantics.
A good example of one that would be proprietary would probably be like San Francisco that went out Anchor,
the California.
I think I think they literally had a proprietary strain, but I don't know. I would find it hard to believe they would have a proprietary strain for all the different styles they do.
Right. Okay. Yeah. You don't think that they self-propagate in-house?
I will bet $5. You're right.
Specifically on the Brew House Brown is what we're talking about. Okay. That they have their own in-house yeast for that they're not buying it from a commercial source. Is that what the bet is?
It's hard to do that.
See, that's what I'm saying. No, I need to get.
I don't know if somebody would admit it. In other words,
I don't care if they'd admit it or not.
Just ask them if you can have some of the yeast, a sample of the yeast. If it's proprietary, they'll say no. If it's universal, they'll say yeah, but you can get it.
That's a good. Yeah, see, James is the third party mediator between this bet. He can.
I don't think it's a doable bet. I don't think we'll be able to get the information.
You try to weasel your way out of it. You'd be like, well, they didn't explicitly deny it or whatever. You would find a way.
That's a problem. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so but yes, we are very excited about that. But let me go ahead and segue into this month's recipe. I'm also very excited for. It is a delicious London Porter, and we do know that's not an American strain. That's an English strain because London is in England. But if you go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour, join the Trub Club at a recipe receiving level, you're going to get this delicious recipe sent to your doorstep the last Monday of the month. And I'm kind of lying. I'm actually probably going to do it next week, Todd, when I'm up there for the whole week. I'll probably get them out towards the middle or end of the week. But either way, we are so thankful for premium grains from our friends at Muntons, the best hops around from hopsdirect.com, and of course, our friends Imperial Yeast providing, I've said premium and the best already. I'm going to say both for Imperial. They have some phenomenal yeast, and we are using for them, I believe, I don't know. Darkness. Darkness is what we're using for the London Porter. So it is exciting. And once again, patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Join a recipe receiving tier and come brew with us. And I'm saying that Imperial's yeast is phenomenal. Did y'all get my photo of the alt beer Krausen? What it looked like in my office? So I have a Firmzilla that's 15.9 gallons. My dad and I put a little under 11 gallons into the fermenter. So that means there was, 4 point whatever gallons of headspace. And the Krausen from that Imperial Kaiser took off. Probably, James, because I didn't do it under pressure. If I would have done it under any kind of pressure, it would have suppressed that a little, right? But
oh yeah, quite a bit.
But I guess that's a good thing though for it to be that vigorous. I mean, in the bigger picture, right? Like,
oh yeah, you've got good use of your yeast.
And we did 2 pouches because they recommend 1 pouch per 5 gallon. And it was as fresh as it can be. I had just gotten it from Imperial when we shipped out December's kits, so it's not even a month old. And yeah, it went to town. I will put a picture of the yeast right here. Bing! in the middle of the screen, covering a little bit of Todd's head, to show people who don't follow us at Instagram.com/Homebrew Happy Hour or anywhere else. If you just watch this at YouTube, you can see as well. And it's also, I'm wearing that nice Wilson jacket, my fermenter is, that your wife gave me, Todd. I say your wife, pardon me. Your daughter gave it to you. Your daughter, Tori, gave it to me, which I don't know why she wanted to give that up. That's stylish. Just like a late 70s, early 80s tennis windbreaker. Very styling. I've worn it.
Yeah, I feel like every time I see you in it, I feel like somebody in the mafia is missing their warm-up jacket.
Yeah, and I get more rings on my fingers, thicker chain. I should have worn it to St. Louis on that, hitting in the airplane in my tracksuit. Would have been good. All right, I covered the January Trub Club. Oh my gosh, I said the London Porter. Guys, I'm stupid. That was last month's. I didn't update it on this computer. I am so stupid. I'm not going to edit that out. People watching, though, will be like, I joined the Trub Club, and that's not what it said online. It's Bob. Let me put it on the screen now. Bob Toots Cream Ale is what we're shipping out in January. Neither one. Todd, you're not even paying attention to me. You knew we did the London Porter last month. You brewed the London Porter already and didn't even correct me. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. No, right? This month, oh my gosh, that's so funny. We are doing Bob Toots Cream Ale, which is great that Lorena is coming down soon because this is her recipe that she did as I say an homage. If she named it, we named it that because this was one of the beers that she brewed, and when her dad was around and tried it, he didn't like her homebrew at all. You tell the story better, Todd. I forget how it went, but it was like he didn't like homebrew. He just liked a certain kind of beer. She brewed this one time. He tried it and he fell in love with it. So therefore, that became the beer she brewed for her dad. Did I get it right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Bob Toots Cream Ale back on the screen. That's what you're getting this month. Forget the London Porter. That was last month. If you're in the club and you already brewed it, let us know how it turned out. Which, Todd, how did yours turn out? Is it even kegged yet?
It's good. It's kegged. It's not carbonated. Because the Gov regs have been selling so well, particularly with the homebrew parts, I had to yank all of the adapters off my keys.
No, you did not.
Yeah, because we just did them to do the video.
Yes.
And we did anyway. We're having more parts made, but we ran out of parts. It's a stainless steel adapter, and so I can't dispense any beer at the moment as of yesterday or the day before.
Is that going to be resolved before I come up for the entire week next week?
Probably not if you're coming up for the entire week. Yeah. No, I have the parts in my truck. I have another type of part that I can use on it. I could hook it up pretty quickly. Yesterday was my 25th wedding anniversary, and I didn't want to do it on my 25th wedding anniversary.
You were supposed to have, you were going to be out of the country, and then you were going to be out of town. Your poor wife got sick, and then you were just going to have a relaxing day together. But it looks like from my messages that you actually were doing manual labor yesterday.
I was. I had a pipe break and all this freezing weather, and it wasn't fun.
Which speaking of freezing weather, and then I'll get to feedback and the questions and all that. My pop and I did the Brew Day live on Monday. It's available at youtube.com/Homebrew Happy Hour. The live part lasted. Now, you know what? We technically did do the whole thing live, but my internet. I don't know if y'all had this at the office because y'all were in the office Monday. My upload speed, guys. Well, my download was drastically hit. I'm supposed to get a gigabit, and then I'm supposed to get 50 up or 25 up or 30 up. Pardon me, 30 up. I was barely getting 3 up, and I was barely getting like 100 and something down. And the download would be fine, right, for 99% of uses and even in streaming. But the upload, it was buffering real bad. We could not make the live stream work. So I recorded it locally, published the unbuffered version at our YouTube channel, and it all went well. But it turns out when Texas gets really cold, everything just starts messing up everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They shut everything.
Everything. And y'all were way colder. I say way. Y'all's wind chill, when I looked at it in blanket, which would be closer to the ranch, was in the negatives for Sunday night, all day Monday, and most of yesterday, Todd. It was wild.
Yeah, I know. I was outside working on stuff. I'm very aware of it. Yeah.
And then I learned from a viewer of our Brew Day Live, wind chill doesn't affect pipes. It just affects things that are living with skin. I didn't know that. I always assumed, I was like, why is the weatherman telling me it's 30 degrees, but it feels like 12? Just say it's 12. If it feels like 12 to my body, it's 12. And someone in the chat was like, well, you're technically right. I mean, to your body, but the literal temperature is 30. And then with the wind, your skin is feeling it as if it's this. But like your pipes and all that do not feel it like it's 12. Your pipes feel it like it's 30. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess that makes sense. But anyway.
Well, that's wind chill, yeah.
I know. Okay, dude, I've never Googled it in my life. Now that I have Chat GPT, I should have just asked it.
Yeah, I might argue with that person a little bit. So if you had, so if it was keeping it cool and you were taking that air away from it faster, James, is it possible that wind chill could affect something freezing faster just because whatever that blanket is? No, I guess not. No, he's right. Yeah, it wouldn't affect it at all. But yeah, wind chill has to do with your body losing heat. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the guy told me.
And also the perception of cold versus real cold.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the way I've always taken it.
Yeah. I've never asked the pipes, Todd, what they feel. So, I mean, we're taking a lot of
How do we know what the pipes feel?
You do a laser or you do a thermometer on the surface of it. And then, I don't know. I really have no idea, but I trust that person. Anyways.
Okay, here, I found it on, I use this thing called Google.
Whoa.
And we're both half right. So the only effect wind chill has on inanimate objects such as car radiators and water pipes is to shorten the amount of time for the object to cool.
Okay. So yeah.
So it would never cool below. So if you had it, if it was 29 degrees and the wind chill, or I'm sorry, if it was 29 degrees and the wind chill was 0, then the pipe might freeze faster.
But it would never get below 29.
But it would never get below 29. So if it was 32 degrees, it would go down to 32 faster, but it wouldn't freeze even if the wind chill was 0.
Okay. Which, I never made the claim it wouldn't. I didn't say it wouldn't.
No, it's the same effect that it has on your body. You're pulling that away and you're pulling that heat away and it cools faster. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. I'm gonna give that guy your personal cell phone. Y'all can work it out. Anyway, that is all the small talk I have. Just a reminder again, patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. It is a delicious Bob Toots cream ale. Forget everything I said earlier about the London Porter, except that it was a fantastic recipe. But we are shipping you out this month a delicious Bob Toots cream ale. I promise you're not going to want to miss it. It's a fantastic recipe. With all that out of the way, we do have 3 questions. But before we do the questions,
it's time for listener feedback.
We've got listener feedback voicemail. It's our buddy Jim from Georgia with some feedback on the tap cooler and using inline flow controls.
Yeah. Hi, Josh. This is Jim from Georgia. Just in reference to today's episode 362, you had a question that was asked about the tap cooler. I have used that product for quite some time and been pretty happy with it. And it does give you the ability to seal the bottle and slowly fill it with that pressure, with the counter pressure. So that's a nice. The one thing I know James had mentioned about some of the benefits and what to be careful of. One of the other things I don't remember him mentioning is a big benefit of those is oxidation. So not only the carbonation, but it's a great way to prevent having that your beer oxidize. Another thing to discuss, I wanted to mention anyway, is the inline flow control. I've now purchased, I think, 4 of those, and I think they're a very under-discussed item. Those things are awesome. I've been kegging with my kegerator for many years now, and this is the best product I think for homebrewing I have ever purchased. It's a great way to control the flow if you've already have taps. So I'll plan on buying more if I add more than I have 8 taps now, but if I add more, I will be buying more of those. I'd love to have the faucets, but right now, another faucet that's forward sealing, not sure if you mentioned it on air, was the Nuka tap. And that are the ones that I have that are all stainless steel. And then rather than replacing those, much as I would have loved to with the flow control faucets, the inline flow control device is a great way to go with the 5/16. Anyway, thanks again. You guys have a great show. I'm enjoying it all the time. Take care. Bye.
And that is Jim from he was second place at on Kolsch Cup, that Jim, and top 5, I think, or top 6 of the Alt Pokal. Our buddy Jim, he's the one who's the packaging was real pretty and all that too. But phenomenal beer. He's got his German hybrids dialed in. But he makes a good point. I agree with him on the inline flow control, to it being a phenomenal product and all that, but I disagree that it's the best thing a homebrewer can buy, because I've been saying this for a while now. The CMB flow control event faucet is the best gadget a homebrewer could buy. And even though people would be like, I don't need an extra faucet, Josh, this or that. Watch, Todd, we got to do a quick video, a YouTube short of how you utilize it, because we didn't work that into the original video for the carbonation, quick carb, forced carbonation. Gosh, my brain was farting there. We didn't include anything because you use it. That's what you use it for, and forced carbonation. And what are you laughing at?
Oh, just the way you change expressions cracks me up.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
I was having a brain fart is the expression.
Yeah.
And you're like, my brain was farting.
My brain farted. Yeah. That's why, if you're having a brain fart, I'm just speaking in the present tense. Like, my brain ran. No, my brain was running. It's actively happening. Anyway, I hate you. But the CMB flow control event faucet, for my money, is the absolute best gadget anyone who could own, because of its versatility, specifically in forced carbing. I used to force carb with my dad, where we would do it and then still wait like a day or whatever to get there. But when you use the flow control event faucet, you basically, Todd, get it to where it's ready to drink in real time, because you're able to test the levels and you know what it's at, in real time. Like I said,
yep,
so fantastic.
True.
But again, to his point though, James, the inline flow controls are the next best thing to full-fledged like V10s or X1s, because you can keep your existing faucet but still implement true flow control into the equation. And if people want kind of a crash course on true flow control, they could watch that episode we did with Cody Hubertus, and or they could watch. We have a video. I'll put that in the show notes. We have a video. CM Becker has a video. Pardon me, with me narrating the animated video that we did for the inline flow control. That describes it the best. So I'll put that in the show notes. But thank you, Jim, so much for the feedback. A reminder, when you call 325-305-6107 and leave us voicemail feedback, and I use it on a future episode, you get yourself a $25 gift card to techconnection.com. Or if you use that same hotline and leave a question in our voicemail feedback or voicemail hotline, you also get yourself a $25 gift card. Like our first question of the show, it's our buddy Matt from California.
Hey guys, my name's Matt. I'm from California. Just found your show, and you guys have been a lot of help as a beginning home brewer. My question is, I started against conventional thought. I tried my hand at a hazy IPA, and I've got one in the fermenter right now, and because of everything I've heard from concerns with oxidation, I'm trying to figure out how to do a closed transfer from my Fur Monster. I recently bought a ball lock connection that would allow me to drop a maybe like a 3-inch CO2 line. My question is, am I able to, with a Fur Monster, slightly pressurize the fermenter to get a true closed transfer? Pressurizing it at, less than 3 PSI or so. I've tried to do like the poor man's closed transfer and just used a regular racking line, purging the keg, and just running that line into it and kind of wrapping the line in foil so that I didn't get any air in there. I've had some success. I have had some off flavors from just a smash beer that I did a couple months ago. One wondering if you guys could give me some tips on fermenters and clothesline transfers. Thanks so much for all you guys do. You guys have been a tremendous help for me. I appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.
Matt, thank you for that. He also then, when I reached out to him to tell him, hey, congrats, we're going to use your question, he gave me more context. The thing he bought was like the stainless steel carb cap, like what we have in the very popular soda carbonating kits. And he wrote, this is the adapter I purchased. My thought is after fermentation is complete, I will replace this with a short line CO2 and a short CO2 line and minimally pressurize the Furmonster to do my closed transfer. Am I at risk for oxidation for the short amount of time when I'm switching the connection for the bunghole stopper? And can I slightly pressurize the Furmonster enough to make the transfer? Thank you guys. Big fan of the show. We appreciate all the context so that we have everything to make the assessment. Now, I will say this, one of the scariest things that ever happens to me is when we're filming or Todd's just making a point to do this while I'm up there, but you have glass carboys that you frequently secondary in, Mr. Burns, and you are a huge fan of closed transfers. You don't do open transfers. Why would you? You don't want to get oxygen in there. So you get the glass and you have this contraption that allows you to hook up gas to it on one side and then take out liquid on the other. I mean, it's not even it is the racking cane. And then when the pressure builds up in there, it automatically starts siphoning out. And that's how you're doing your closed transfer. You keep it at 2 PSI, I think, right? Because any more in a glass carboy and we're getting dangerous, or I just tell the people what you do. And all I know is it terrifies me. And I have to suspect the plastic Furmonster can handle it better than the glass carboy, but I really don't know the dynamics of glass versus plastic in regards to pressure. But tell the people what you do.
I mean, I usually, it's probably around 3 PSI. I mean, you could overpressurize it and it could explode, obviously. One of the things about mine is it's got a very loose fitting lid on it. And if you get too much pressure in there, it pops off. So it's somewhat of a safety feature, just the fact that it pops off. And if you do accidentally get too much pressure in there, but it is a little slow because you're not using a lot of PSI, but you don't want to over pressurize a glass carboy because you could definitely make one blow up. I don't know if blow up's the right word, because I guess it depends on how much beer you had in there. Like at the very beginning when it's full, it wouldn't be, it could be more catastrophic once it's empty and you've got nothing but glass flying everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So as far as his goes, I can't imagine that a PEX bottle couldn't hold 3 PSI. I mean, the worst thing that could happen is it could come apart with full of beer, and it's it's a plastic container, kind of like a big Coke bottle, right? So
let me kick this over to our legal department, because James is the king of disclaimers. Whenever people ask questions like this, like 4 or 5 times, and James is like, talk to the manufacturer, make sure you understand what can handle. We are not suggesting you apply pressure to something that can't handle it, blah, blah, blah. What would you do in this case, James, if you didn't have the budget? Because people listening who don't know the difference, we use Firms. I use a Firmzilla. Y'all have Firmzillas at the office too. When you're pressure fermenting, you're either using your Spite CF15 or you're using the Furmonster or Firmzilla. The Firmzilla is the one they actually advertise as for pressurized brewing, for closed transfer. It can handle 30 or whatever it is PSI. It has the shutoff valve, blah, 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 blah. It even comes with the post on top for your convenience, because it's all about using this with pressure. The Furmonster, however, is a very basic plastic vessel that you can ferment liquids in. It doesn't, I don't even think More Beer, who is the main people who sell them, Kegland makes them, I believe. They don't really mention in there, oh yeah, it's rated for 5 PSI, or it doesn't seem like they push it for pressure. But again, like I go back to the glass one, people have been doing what Todd does forever, relatively safely. I still don't like to be in the room when it's happening, but people have been doing it. James, would you feel any hesitation to adding 2 to 3 PSI in a Furmonster for the sake of closed transfer, or would you find a different way?
Oh no, I'd definitely do that with that plastic fermenter. A lot of people are using a metal racking cane, and then they come with a drilled lid and a big bung, a drilled bung for the lid. Then you can put gas on one side, and then you can even use a regular racking cane in that, and just apply 2 to 3 psi to that plastic fermenter, and it'll move fine. I wouldn't be afraid at all to use that. Plastic will give, glass won't.
Okay, you're the voice of reason on the show. That's why I asked you, because Todd would be like, "Yeah, it's fine, no big deal," and then as I get closer to it, shaking it, "No, that's not a good sound." But
I've found several vendors online that sell a closed transfer kit for the Fur Monster.
Oh, no kidding. Okay,
and and they're running anywhere from $50 to $60. So
send me a link, and I'll put that in the show notes. Because I didn't do deep homework. I just looked it up. I looked up on Reddit and I looked up on Homebrew Talk if people were adding pressure to it, and very minimal conversations found. And a lot of the times people are like, "No, what you should do is just buy this or whatever," which again, I don't mind for that being the answer, because I really do think I have a Fermenter King, which is from Keg King, which Blickman or Anvil, which is also Blickman. They're the distributors in the US for it. I have one of those, which I like a lot, and I have a Firmzilla. And I'll say they are incredible bangs for your buck for trying to get into bigger volume fermenting under pressure and then doing transfers. I think the retail price of this starter kit on the Firmzilla for the 15.9 round bottom was like maybe $150. What or
you're talking about? So you're going between the Fur Monster and the
no.
Firmzilla.
I'm only talking about Firmzilla.
Right.
I'm saying. And online, when I looked up this question, if people had already had this discussion, a lot of the times people
those already come with everything.
I know,
right?
That's what I'm saying. People were saying, "Hey, people were suggesting get rid of the Fur Monster if you're worried. Just get a Firmzilla or do it in a keg or blah blah blah." But we're saying here, both of y'all are saying in confidence, you can add 2 to 3. You're gonna be fine. You just make sure you're not pushing more than
they sell them so many different ways. So sometimes they have a hole in the top, and you can get it without a hole in the top, I think. So
you're talking about
you can get the lid with it's solid, and then you can make your own bulkheads if you want to design something hands-on.
Yeah,
or you can just get a 3/8 grommet, drill a hole, and use a racking cane, and then just use a short barbed fitting for the gas in, and then a racking cane for the liquid out. Yeah. And of course your CO2 cylinder and regulator, but it's pretty simple deal. It's pretty easy to do.
It is. It seems like it. I say it is. I'm not going to do it. I don't have one, but
I love closed transfer. I do. I use it a lot, but I still use open transfers in some situation. Like if I'm transferring from a bucket, I'll use an open transfer, and it's not the end of the world. I mean, the key is just to very gently have the liquid go and make sure that it's starting from the bottom and going up and not splashing down. We've talked about that before on the show.
Could you not do this with a bucket? In theory,
you could.
I mean, the only downside is these Fur Monsters, these Firmzillas, these plastic ones that are specific for fermenting and that we're talking about are all clear. The buckets are not, or at least none of the buckets. They're not clear. So that's probably why people aren't trying to do this, because it's hard to tell. You don't want to just sop up, what's it called? Trub, without being able to see.
If I am doing it, let's say I'm going from a bucket to a secondary glass carboy, then, I would purge that glass carboy with CO2 before I start putting the beer in too.
Yeah, no, I've been there for that.
And he asked about, am I going to have a problem oxidizing by opening the top? No, I mean, if you're brewing in a bucket, you open the top all the time and do stuff and transfer, and I mean, it's not going to just oxidize immediating because
the blanket of CO2,
because it had the top of it had some oxygen. Oxygenating beer is not terribly hard to do. If you want to do it, I can tell you how to do it very easily.
No,
but it's also not. Beer doesn't just oxidize immediately. I mean, usually it's because of turbulence.
You first said oxygenate, which is what you want to do when you're about to pitch your yeast. Adding oxygen to it. Oxidizing is the thing you don't want to do, which is post fermentation. have
Yeah,
oxygen.
but to
coming.
oxygenize, you have to oxygenate, right?
I'm not here to argue, pal. I'm just, someone corrected me once and it was you. You corrected me. Anyways, I would love for y'all's feedback in the comments below if you're watching at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour, or leave a voicemail 325-305-6107. What would you do in this situation? Do you already do that? I didn't realize, like, James found the answer that there are already people doing it with kits. Like, they're making kits for the specific thing. So obviously it is something enough people are doing that a retailer said, we should make this kit for that. So if you're doing that, let us know. Or if there's other products that you enjoy. I know, remember when, was it called the fast fermenter was real popular? Or you know, at all the homebrew cons and all that. I think same difference, right? PET fermenters have a wave of popularity in the homebrewing community, and every now and then they come out with a new kind of like, oh, you know, it's affordable and you're able to do this, this, and this. But the Fur Monster's whole shtick is it's very affordable to get it up front, and then if that kit's not that much, then there you go, you got closed transferring.
Well, I mean, he was saying the kit was like $50 or something. That seems like a lot for.
I've actually found another one. And Josh, I sent you the links. It was 20.
Oh, okay.
So,
that seems more reasonable.
20,
I mean, a Fur Monster is, I just looked one up. They're like $40, I think. I mean,
oh, that's dirt cheap.
I don't know that they're a lot more than a glass. Well, it's just for the primary. You're talking about for the primary fermentation.
I would suspect. Yeah, I would suspect. Is there a reason you prefer? I mean, would you have glass carboys, and I assume that's why you use glass for secondary. If you had your pick of plastic or glass, would you still use glass when you secondary, Todd?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it just tradition, or is there something behind that?
Oh, it's just glass is just so
more sanitary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good point. No, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That made sense.
And you get extraction plastic, it can harbor
forever
lacto and all kinds of stuff.
And it's things don't permeate. There's no, I mean, I like glass carboys for secondary.
Yeah. Nothing permeates. I can't
and
stain it.
I like turtles too.
You beat me. I like turtles. Anyways, Matt, thank you so much for submitting that question. A reminder, when you call 325-305-6107 and leave a voicemail like Matt did on a future, and I play it on a future episode, you get yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. Moving on, question number 2 is a text message to that same hotline, so he gets a $15 gift card. It's our buddy Anthony, and he wrote, "Hey gang, any thoughts on milling your grains at home? My local shop went belly up in October. I used them for buying and milling. I haven't brewed since they closed. I'm thinking of buying bulk and milling at home, but I don't have a mill yet. Any reason to not mill at home? Any recommendations for a budget-friendly mill? Thanks for the help. Great podcast." Now, before we went to St. Louis, and James, you were busy actually working. Todd and I took a question about do you single mill, double mill? So people who are listening, this is different because now this is actually approaching the should I mill my own grains? And if so, what's the recommended mill? I will say I'm going to pass. My only input on this one is I'm a very privileged man. Todd has bought a commercial mill when we were in the ingredients business from Blickman. Couldn't tell you the name of it. They always come up with, it's probably called the Millinator or something. I have no idea. They always have like their chillinator or their, all their stuff, it seems to have a nator in it. But their mill is phenomenal. I love it. It's a commercial one because it's like an 18 or 20 pound hopper. And it goes through it like 18 pounds in a minute. It's quick. It's accurate. It's very precise. I highly recommend it. It's not budget friendly. It's like,
well, they have another one that I would, that's, I'm sorry, not Blickman, but More Beer has one that I'm going to recommend just based on the name because it's such a good name. The Malt Muncher.
That's what it's called? The Malt Muncher?
It is $500 though, to be fair.
I can't not giggle at the word muncher for some reason.
It's a Malt Muncher. Oh, I love those guys.
There was Anthony also gave me some context. He found a like $95 Faraday is the brand. It's obviously, like it's on Amazon. And I'll put it in the show notes, but it is a budget option. It comes, it's the hand crank kind that some people have said that they replace and use their power drill slowly so that they're not just grinding the whole time. But
I see a fair day on here too.
Look at the reviews though. For everyone that's like, I love it, it's great. There's another one that's like, oh, I got metal shavings in my grains, and this a bad design. It's obviously probably coming out of China. Their QA and some of those warehouses not the best, and so I don't know how many pounds of grain they tested each one with before they shipped it out. Spoiler: they didn't test it at all. They just shipped it out. But
yeah, the one we used to use a lot, I think, was called a Munster mill. Let me see if I can.
Monster.
Yeah, I was a Monster mill.
Monster mill, and see they have a three roller and a 2 roller. I do not personally recommend the 3 roller. I was never happy with it. I always liked the 2 roller better.
I agree. Yeah, I've got a 2 roller Monster mill, and it works really good. But I actually found, believe it or not, Alibaba's got a Monster Mill knockoff for less than $50.
No, well, with shipping, would it be like 100?
Yeah, it's probably gonna. I think anywhere I would personally go on eBay, because I'm sure there's some people on there that's either upgraded to a bigger one, or just got out of the hobby. You'd probably buy those used on eBay for almost next to nothing.
A fantastic point. Craigslist and eBay for a mill might be your best bet. You're right. Unfortunately, I'm not happy about it, but there is a lot of people getting out of the hobby.
One thing about I'm looking at the Munster mill. One thing about the Munster mill is I have talked to the guy. I do know they're made. It's a United States company, and you wouldn't have to worry about the shavings and that sort of thing that they were talking about.
I think just Monster though. I mean, it's not tomato. I think just Monster mill. I don't think it's Munster. That's
what I said. Monster.
I heard Munster.
Monster.
Monster.
I use those interchangeably.
You're so German. Look at you.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty German. Yeah.
I'm still embarrassed about not knowing BIERE is the plural of German for beer. I did a quick search on it before we talked to Cody, and I was like, oh, that's how the French spell beer. Okay, perfect. I'll call him out. And he's like, no, that's the plural, you idiot. I'm still recovering from that. Munster Mill. The Munster Mill. The Munster Mill. So
he didn't actually say idiot, but he was thinking it.
After we were recording, y'all didn't listen to the episode. I went through it and I really did bleep out all the cuss words so that I wouldn't have to do the explicitive. That's the most editing I've ever done on an episode. And I was like, because I marked the minutes down, but the SD card and the little mixing board that I have failed halfway through, which is fine because the audio is recording to the computer too. The mixing board is just a fail safe, but it has a little function on here where if I want to mark something, I just hit the button and boom, it tells me where, but it failed. So I had to listen to the whole episode, which is an hour something. It was fantastic. But anyway, back to Anthony's question. Milling at home is absolutely, like, if you're going to buy in bulk, that you don't want to store cracked grains in bulk, right, James? Like, that would make no sense. Or could you store, like, could you have a shop?
I mean, you could. I mean, I just always preferred to crack it the day of brewing. But, if you were going to store it over time, I would just stick it in the freezer.
If it was already cracked, you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
I froze my grains either way, whether they're already ground or cracked or whole. I always kept them in the freezer.
You buy the bag and just throw the bag in there, or you didn't have to transfer them to some other. Okay. Because I know those Vettel containers that I keep taking from Todd, those are real popular for grain storage and chicken feed storage. They've been great, boss. Thank you for that one. But
and dog food.
And dog food. Absolutely. But those would be hard to put in my freezer. But I guess I've never actually considered that. Do people store cracked grains for a long time? I wonder, if they're.
Yes, people do.
Okay, without problem. Have you done it before?
I didn't say without problem. I said people. Oh. Yeah, definitely people do. Yeah.
Well, that's why. Well, like what James is saying, I do it. I don't brew the same day. I grind the grains up at headquarters, but we brew within a week of doing it, and we've never had any issues. I wonder what that point of no return is, or degradation would be, where you're going to notice it's going to taste a little stale or whatever. I wonder if that's if you're not freezing it, right, James? Like, is that a month? Is that I don't know. There are people on the interwebs who have very elaborate setups where they buy bulk. They're basically a nano brewery operation from their garage. And so they're storing, hundreds and hundreds of pounds of grains of all the base malts and this and that. And I just my conventional wisdom would say, if you're already investing the money in that kind of setup for bulk and all that, a grain is probably one of the more important things that you're going to want as well. Because I think having that control over when you crack it, the not the millimeters, or what do they measure the mill in? It is millimeters, right?
Thousands is the way I've always set mine. I think I set mine. I could be wrong, guys, but it's 28 thousandths is usually what that's pretty close.
Yeah, I believe it. I don't know. I use whatever y'all set the Blickman one at, but my point being, like, if you're spending the money on, the like, if you're buying in bulk, it probably means you're brewing a lot. You probably have a reasonable, nice setup. You probably have temperature control, fermentation, and all that. A mill is probably the next wise purchase for you to make, like, as opposed to relying, like, unfortunately, like Anthony said, his local shop died. That is happening, and you could order bulk. I don't know if you could have the big guys online. If you buy a 55-pound bag, I don't even think it's an option to mill it. You know what I mean? Like, I think you just have to receive it. And then,
so Monster recommends medium crush of 45 thousandths. A medium of 45 thousandths. A coarse of 55 thousandths, and then a fine anywhere from 38 to 40 thousandths. So I was way off.
Oh, again, I'll next time I'm up there when I'm doing recipes next week, I'll take a picture for people on our Instagram of what the Blickman set at. That one has seemed to be wonderful from when we were in.
Yeah, it's super easy because you remember they provide us with a gap gauge, so you just put the gap gauge between the rollers, tighten it up, tighten the rollers against the gauge, and you're done. You don't have to use feeler gauges or any of that stuff. They make it really simple.
Yeah. And I know, shout out also to our friends at Spike. I know they have one. I have no experience with it. I'd love to get my hands on one, but they sold out like that. I didn't have a chance to even ask them, hey man, do you want to partner with us, or however kind of, sick begging that I do to these people. But SS Brew Tag has a motorized one as well. But again, just based off my experience and usage, if it's in your budget, whoever's listening, the one at Blickman that Todd has, the 18-gallon hopper, I believe, or the 18-pound hopper version of it. And like Todd said, they have a smaller one.
And it's commercial, so it's not on their normal.
I'll put a link in the show notes.
Okay.
But it is phenomenal, and it's a workhorse. If you are brewing regularly and you're going to be milling regularly and you're doing 10+ gallon batches every time, which if you're brewing that much, you're probably doing 15. You probably have a Herm setup or of some sort, or, a little barrel pilot system or something in your garage, but you're probably doing bigger batches. So I would say that's worth it. But again, it's not budget friendly. To answer his thing, Todd's throwing his hat in for the Monster Mill, and I think James agrees the Monster Mill is a great solution, and
it's a good product.
So thank you, Anthony, for submitting that. On to our third and our final question.
Just real quick before you go on, I was just going to tell you, it is with the stand and everything, you're looking at about $1,300.
Oh, that's nothing for me. That's nothing. Yeah. My wife's a teacher.
Weird. Okay. So I think they start at like 11 or 12 without the other thing.
Oh, that's so much money.
Yeah. I mean, it's truly a commercial meal. I don't think it's something that most people would want to spend the money on for their home.
That is a weird niche though, because 18 pounds, like what, like a nano brewery, because people aren't brewing, like they're just doing 18 pounds at a time. And
they have a bigger hopper too.
Okay.
Yeah, I know the one that Wes had, you could put a whole 55-pound sack of grain in it.
Who made that one? Some Chinese company?
He got it from China along with the brewing equipment.
Yeah, which is super nice too.
I meant specifically Blickman. They make a bigger copper for theirs.
Okay, well, you're looking that up
and tell you what it is.
I'm going to segue us at our final question and our final reminder. If and when you text 325-305-6107 and get yourself a $15 gift card, that's not that great. That's great still, but I mean, you could do better, because if you call that, leave a voicemail, and I use it on a future episode, you get yourself a $25 gift card to checkconnection.com, much like our third question. It is a voicemail, and it's our buddy Sean from Virginia.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Virginia. I gotta say, a couple of weeks ago when you put out on the website that you were gonna sell at a great discount your pressure fermentation keg kit. I snatched it up and had to share it with a couple of my friends. So I love it. This is the first time I've ever done a pressure fermentation, and I'm so excited to do it in a keg. I got a question though on the Spunding valve that you package with it. What kind of maintenance do I need to do on that valve? Because I've noticed there's a little bit of schmutz coming out the end, a little bit of that shrub, a little bit of that high Krausen coming through. Is there anything I need to do to flush it, to maintain it, so that it continues to read well and off gas at the proper pressures? So thanks, guys. Keep it up. Love the show.
Todd left to go grab one. It's a great question. First and foremost, I would say, Sean, he's already used it, so that's a good sign. Make sure it's assembled the right way. We had an issue on one that went out to where it got
it was put together with, there's an arrow cast in the side of the body. Just make sure that arrow goes with the gas flow.
With the gas flow, yes. Yeah, if it's facing your fermenter,
you don't want gas against the arrow because it'll just build up and you could risk popping a fermenter.
Right, yeah.
So just make sure. I actually flooded one of the first times I put it together.
Yep.
And used it because I put it together backwards. So I used some white out and painted the arrow so you could see it. But there's only 4 screws that hold the gauge. Everything else is plastic. So if you've got a Phillips screwdriver, you can actually take the gauge off the valve, and then you can flush the valve with warm water.
Well, also there's 4 screws. So I have this. It doesn't actually come assembled. This goes in here. I know not everybody can see this because they're on. They're listening to it, but that cap comes off really easy, and then it has 4 screws that you can take this apart for the actual valve part, and you can take the gauge off. So you can really disassemble it if you need to.
It does come assembled in that ultimate accessory kit, though, because it also comes with the CMB disconnect and the short line of tubing. So with the adapter, the disconnect, and the tubing and all that. We were saying before you came back on, I was making a joke. I said the first thing you need to do is make sure it's assembled in the correct direction. That before you use it, make sure it is properly assembled so that you have airflow going through it. But I will say, for maintenance wise, taking it apart and cleaning it, these parts, I know a lot of people online with Duotite, the plastic they use, they say do not let sanitizer touch it. Like acid based sanitizers are a curse to this. Don't let it, or crack them, this or that. But Brew Clean. A Brew Clean bath, if you did have it on and you had some go through it and you're like, I don't want to remove it now, it's still fermenting, and then when fermentation's done, you take it off, it's all crusty, you could, like you said, disassemble it, scrub it, and let it soak in a Brew Clean bath, couldn't you? Or would you not do that either?
Yeah, you could.
That's what I assumed you could. All I've ever read the issues, and this is, you don't need to sanitize these in regards to soaking them. I know people spray the post that they go on to sanitize, and the disconnect can be sanitized, without issue in regards to soaking. But there's no reason to sanitize the body.
Well, but everything's coming out.
You're right with that. Well, yeah, I'm saying though, but that's you're adding evidence, or you're adding for me my case that it doesn't. The body itself of the regulator.
I know I am. I was trying to support you.
Thank you. Is that what that feels like? I'm just saying though, even if like with it going out is why you never have to sanitize that body anyway. There's no reason why that thing would need to be sanitized. You're just needing to clean it sometimes if you have overflow of fermentation activity. But
that's the one problem with these sometimes is that if you do, they can become clogged and stick. So you got to be aware of that. If that happens, and you're not watching it for an extended period of time, at some point it could build up to a pressure where you could have an issue. Although when it blows up to that much of a pressure, it's probably going to start to shoot out again, but maybe not the way you want it to.
Well, and in reality, James, let's say you're using your Firmzilla or your CF15 and you see the Spunding valve is all clogged up, you take it off the post, it's not going to take you long enough to go clean it and put it back on for there to be any issue inside the vessel anyway, right?
Normally not.
Right.
It'd have to get really bad for there to be an issue.
The only problem you might have is when you stop it, or when you take it off and you let that fermentation go, it might start shooting out the top just because we've all experienced that, right?
Have we?
Where, you know how as soon as you remove the pressure, it will speed up considerably.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot
Okay,
of times it will shoot out the
okay. You say a
hole
lot
itself.
of times. It's possible. Yes, I know what you're saying. What I was saying is, okay, then Todd, would you wait for fermentation to be done before addressing the need to clean it?
Not if it was clogged.
Oh, no, good point. You're right. Let's say it's not clogged. It's just filthy, but air is still getting through. You would wait for fermentation to be done, then remove it and clean it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know what you mean by filthy, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, because, like it can come through and not clog it. Like the Krausen can.
Oh, I see what you mean. Just it has a little bit of stuff. But
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it.
That's where I was going with. I wouldn't.
Maybe if my cat pooped on it, I would worry about it. But yeah, I just didn't know what you meant by filthy.
You don't have a cat. Oh, you do have a cat. My bad. I forgot you do have a cat. Yeah, I forgot. Filthy. Never mind. I was going to make a yo mama joke.
Yeah. We've gone far enough.
We've gone far enough. But I will say again, also shout out to that Ultimate Keg Accessory Kit, which is still on sale right now. This is my pitch for the show. It's still on sale for under $100. It comes with the fermentation lid, the floating dip tube, the lid, the quick carb lid, and the spunding valve. It's an incredible kit if you have a keg and you've been wanting to get into pressure fermentation of any kind or closed transferring or whatever. It's a good little kit that will make your keg even more dynamic and versatile. I think those are the words I used in the product listing. But
so I have to mention one thing before you go on.
Sure.
On the grain mill. So the one we have now has the 65-pound hopper on it. Because you could pour a whole bag of grain in there. So when you were saying 17, I was like, how does it come with a 17?
I don't think ours is that big.
Dude, you could pour a whole bag of grain in there. There's no way it's 17.
Okay. Oh, is that the only two options on the hoppers? Was like the 18?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you're right. No, you're right. I just feel like I've gotten close to the top when I'm doing big batches.
I've done huge batches and poured the whole thing in there. So
I believe it.
I'll go look at it. If I'm wrong, I will admit it
on next week's episode.
On next week's episode, I will go look at it. I swear though that I've put huge batches in there and didn't have to wait.
I believe you
because usually I'll put 2 buckets in there. Like sometimes I'll put 2 buckets worth in there, and then I have to really watch it so I don't overflow it.
Yeah. No, that would 2 buckets worth is a lot.
I mean, because you can't let it go down into the bucket below with 2 buckets because that's only 1 bucket down below. Yeah.
Below. Anyways, thank you so much, Sean, for submitting that question. The last reminder that when you call our hotline and leave a voicemail, feedback or question to 325-305-6107, and I use it on a future episode, you get yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. And that's all I've got for this week, guys. I appreciate y'all's time. I hope you're staying warm. I didn't even really address it, how I am dying today. Well, it's getting warmer. It's 41 right now. So the warmth is back. I can turn off the dripping faucets and all that jazz. My chickens will be happy. Actually, they were never not happy. The chickens, it turns out, love the cold, Todd. They are thoroughly enjoying it. I put a heat lamp down there and they couldn't care. They didn't like it.
I've never used a heat lamp in mine. It's just too open.
My wife was she just freaked out. They're gonna die, and they didn't. Turns out they lived.
I have had a rooster. I had a rooster one time that had a really long. I can't think of the name of it right now, but a comb.
Okay.
And it froze. It got frostbite and turned black. And,
you're kidding me.
No, seriously.
Well, you're about to get another rooster. You agreed on.
Yeah.
One of my hens, James. I thought we had 4 hens right now, and a couple weeks ago I started hearing.
I just got while you were. Never mind.
Yeah, don't go there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
A really long
like and
it got frostbite, and I'm gonna wrap it up there, guys. Thank you for your time. I will see y'all in person next week. Bye, Todd.
See ya.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or even better, be our best friend, not just Todd's, but all of our best friend, by leaving a voicemail at 325-305-6107. Thank you to our show sponsors like Munton's Malts, Premium Grains. Premium Grains for a better brew day. If you aren't already brewing with Munton Malts, give them a try by joining our Trub Club at a recipe receiving level. For the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also, get a pack of Imperial yeast along with premium recipes from us when you join the Trub Club. Go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.